Are you sitting comfortably? Then I shall begin. It was a dark and stormy... Oh, no, we've had that one. Hang on. Here we go. A handsome young Master Tweed was running across the playground in anticipation of his next 2 hours of O-level metalwork, where he would continue working on his steam oscillating engine. As he entered the classroom, all eyes turned on him, and the accusing finger pointed at him. Hello! And welcome to Mr. Tweed's Garage, where due to popular demand and a high rate of requests, well, just one, thanks Randy, I'm going to recount a story of my Stuart Turner number 8 steam engine, plus some footage of the West Midlands model engineering exhibition that I went to recently. I thought you might like to see it and marvel in some of the engineering skills demonstrated there. So yeah, so without further ado, we'll tuck into the Stuart Turner number 8. I just turned around to annoy my wife because she says, don't turn your back on the audience. So this is it, Stuart Turner number 8. And I sort of looked back and put the numbers in the calculator, and I've been working on this for 40 years, well, on and off, 40 years. The story behind it is, when I was doing my O-level metalwork at school, on the final year, if you sort of took it as an option, one of the projects we'd done for our final towards our exam was an oscillating engine that we had to sort of design. Half the design was there. I think we designed the bearing housing, and then it was a case of, you know, turning, milling, brazing, all that kind of thing to make it. And I still have it. Turning away to annoy the wife. There it is, just there. I'll zoom in for that later. I've still got it, and I have run it. It does run on air. Yeah, so that was my initial interest. So how I come by this engine was whilst doing my O-level metalwork and talking to the metalwork teacher over the time. He knew of my interest in model engineering, and I think I must probably told him about my uncle as well. And when I was sort of getting towards the end of the term and sort of time to leave, he said, well, you might as well have these, because they've been sitting in the storeroom for years and years and years, and nobody's come back to collect them, so they're only going to go in the bin. So he gave me sort of a sort of part set of castings for a Stuart Turner number 8, which is the same one I have here. So yeah, so he gave me the castings. I think I took them home and sort of looked at them for a few years, but sort of got to the point that I knew that I was never going to get round to it in my youth sort of thing. So I just happened to give them to my uncle, who was a keen model engineer, and he was sort of busy building trains. I think if you look back on my earlier videos on the Cliche, that's one of his locos that I've got to restore. So I gave them to him, thought nothing else of it. But then about 20 years later, I happened to pop down after I bought my first lathe, my sort of Chinese lathe that I had. We popped in the shed and looked at what he was building, and he reached under the bench and pulled out a box. And he said, well, you might as well have these back now, because you've got the facilities to finish it. So he gave me the castings back, and he'd also managed to attain a drawing for it as well. So that got me up and running. So I made a start then on my little lathe, and carried on building it for a while. But then sort of, you know, life takes off, other projects get in the way, and it sort of got shoved to the back of the bench. I think I got it up to the point of the crankshaft bearings were made, the flywheel was on, the piston was bored, and the cross slide and everything was all there. What was missing was eccentric strap, and then all the drillings for to mount the cylinder to the frame. So yeah, so there it sat at the back of the bench for about another 15 years, until I said recently I sort of picked it up again and carried on working on it. So this is it, my Stuart Turner number 8, nearly finished. Just need to make 4 studs to bolt the cylinder to the frame and finish off these inlet and exhaust manifolds, I suppose you call them. There's sort of some pipes on them, and filing to shape, sort of shaped like the gland there. And we're there. So yeah, it's only taken 40 years to get to this stage. Yeah, and as I said, there was a few parts missing, or it did come with parts that had been partly machined and sort of needed redoing again. So the came with a conrod and an eccentric strap. So the conrod, somebody had a go at it and tried to machine it. But what it turned out, the reason I haven't machined this one is when I measured it to the drawing, it was this and this are sort of 1/4 inch too short. So whether it's shrinkage from casting, I don't know, or whether they got the dimensions wrong, I don't know. I could have ordered a new one, but then I wouldn't know whether they'd corrected it. I'm sure they have by now. Yeah, so what I decided to do was make my own one. So this is the one I made. It's made from 2 pieces of stock because of its shape. It's made from an offcut of a round piece of brass rod, and then a piece of rectangular brass bar, which is actually sort of a lock bar from an old conservatory back door. Milled flats on both of them and then silver soldered them together, and then sort of machined this up, as you will see. Conrod was made from a piece of flat brass bar and machined up. Done that quite a few years ago. And the crankshaft, although it did come with one, I'm not sure, I think this is sort of forged. Not quite sure, could be cast. But it was horrible to machine. It was really, yeah, it wasn't machining up really nicely. So I took a piece of rectangular steel bar and then machined this crankshaft up from scratch, and it turned out really well. Actually, it's probably easier doing it that way than it was trying to machine this. What else? The steam chest was missing, so made a new steam chest, machined that out, and then the steam chest cover was missing as well, so just a piece of brass plate on there. It came with everything else. Some stuff had been attempted to machine or drill. Somebody started drilling things, and things were sort of way off. So what I had to do was brass plug, sort of tap and make up some threaded brass plugs, and then re-drill the holes in the correct positions. open there, and it was underneath as well, and on the bearing block mountings into the frame. Bearing blocks were missing, and these were machined from brass bar stock. Again, drawing doesn't call for it, but just like the look of little oil cups, so made some little oil cups to go on there and on there. And then the other thing was made studs up whenever there's sort of mountings and nuts. It just looks better. So as I said, just to finish off, I need to make 4 studs for here. Finish those off, a few more holes to drill, and then it's nearly done. And it's only taken 40 years. So there you go, there's my story about my Stuart Turner number 8. And then for the rest of the video, I've got a little tour around the West Midlands Model Engineering Exhibition 2022, which I went to a few months ago. And you can have a look at that and sort of marvel at some of the engineering skills there. I mean, some of the highlights are, never was a fan of them when I was younger. Always liked the sort of the Mallards and the sort of Atlantics, you know, all the big steam locomotives. The later ones, you know, all uniform wheels and steam and power. I never used to have a second glance to the sort of the earlier locomotives, but there was. I'm really starting to grow. The sort of Stirling engine is really growing on me now. I really like them. And there was 2 really fine examples of the sort of Stirling engine, which, if you don't know, has got a sort of single 8-foot driving wheel. Lots of brass, lots of lining, you know, all very over the top Victorian. Yeah, and there was 2 models there, and they were both fantastic. So have a little look at those. Another thing to marvel at was an LNER A4 Pacific locomotive, part built, but the workmanship of the stuff built was fantastic, and the exhaust system was something else. The work gone into it, and the forms and that for the smokestacks as they in the sort of Venturi were incredible. And then there was a collection of Stirling engines, plus a nice little breakdown, sort of displaying how they work. That was really good. And then there's always the guy. There's always a couple of them, and they always amaze me. Just the patience to make multiple parts. When these guys make radial aircraft engines, you know, you sort of got 8-cylinder, 16-cylinder, 32-cylinder. We've seen some really big ones over the years, and to actually sit there and make 16 pistons and sort of 32 valves and springs and collets and cylinders and barrels, and they do all the finning on the heads and that. Absolutely amazing. You know, this one wasn't a huge one, but the workmanship was fantastic. So yeah, so have a little look at that. I hope you enjoy that.
That is one that we suggest.
So there you go, there's the story behind my Stuart Turner number 8, worth waiting for, and a little tour around the West Midlands Model Engineering Exhibition, which was nice because it's the first one we've had in a long time since lockdown chaos and all that going on. So it was nice to go to. Unfortunately, I think we have lost a couple of model engineering shows that just don't seem to be happening anymore, which is a shame because some of them were really good. But yeah, it was nice to see the skills there. But something that really struck me, and sort of we discussed this, some of us on, between us, is I went there on a Friday, and so I didn't expect to see a lot of kids. But I and probably 5 other blokes I saw there, we were probably the youngest people there, and then the average age was 70 plus. And it was just stark. You could just see that the hobby is disappearing if we're not careful. I think we can save these hobbies, and it's the same in the vintage car world and the vintage bike world. And in those sort of worlds, because cars and bikes of that era have become investments. The prices are just sort of stratospheric for what they are, for what some of them are. So the youngsters, they ain't going to spend that sort of money on something like that they don't really understand. They're going to sort of move on, and that's what's happening. It's happening with the bike world, the car world. The age range. It's moving to the sort of 70s bikes and the 70s cars. That's where the prices are. So. What am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is, it's where we're engineering as well. The tooling is so expensive. You buy the machine and then you'll probably spend the same again on tooling. Just to use the thing. So for some people, it's unattainable. I've been really lucky, and I've done this over the years, collected all this rubbish. Mrs. Tweed calls it, yeah. So what I say to you is, if you've got a youngster that's sort of, that's interested, don't brush them off. Don't think that the questions they're asking is silly. It's because they don't know. We've always started off asking silly questions, and then you gradually learn. And when I have the Riley had it out the back, and you get mums and parents going past with toddlers and kids, and they show a bit of interest and they want to have a look. I always say, does he want to sit in it? Does she want to sit in it? Or when I've had the bikes out there, do they want to sit on it? And let them. And it just plants that seed. Just that seed of interest, starts them early, encourages them in. The trouble is, if we all sort of keep our hobbies to ourselves, they'll end up disappearing, and they won't be there anymore. It's a bit maudlin, I know, but I'm talking to you, and you've seen it as well, and you know what I'm on about. So yeah, sort of, if you've got a youngster that's interested, just encourage them in, or show them something, or get them to ask questions. I think that's what I want to say on that. So on a more positive note, I've got to get cracking, because Mrs. Tweed told me I've only got 10 days to get the Riley going. So I'll go and edit this and stick this up, and then it'll be into the workshop working on the Riley. Okay, so I'll see you next time. Cheerio. The story of just... Hello and welcome to